Hey, what's up there, folks? We are live. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Let me do some checks here. Make sure I can hear myself. Okay. Do some checks here. There we go. Got a little feedback, so I'm not silent. Good. Okay. Well, in this live stream, we're going to be going over feature lines and earthwork exhibits. Now, what are earthwork exhibits? Well, many times within a civil engineering firm, you'll get a request as a designer to come up with an earthwork exhibit. And essentially what an earthwork exhibit does, it gives someone the ability to check and see where our cut and fill volumes are happening within our plan. As you can see right here, we've got something that's color-coded, and this essentially gives us a sense of what's happening with our earthwork volumes, such as the cut and fill. We have a legend here that doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but it kind of gives you a sense of what the colors are, where everything's happening. You can see that there's cuts happening with the ponds. We have a lot of red going on here. But then afterwards, what we do is we more or less come up with a spreadsheet that shows exactly what's going on with the volumes, as far as how many cubic yards we're moving around on the site. So we'll get into that a little bit today. I think I might just be on for about an hour or so. But if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to save it till the end, because I'd like to be able to get through all of this stuff rather quickly. Just so people can replay and rewatch all of this content, so that they can just move straight through it. Okay, so what I had earlier this week, I was working on this earthwork exhibit, and this was essentially what I had initially done about, I'd say probably about 4 months ago. I was working on this project, okay? And what I did was I basically set up my surfaces here. I've got an existing grade surface with a 4-inch grub. And a 4-inch grub, what that is that takes into account basically skimming off the surface of your existing grade. So, say for example you have, grass and things like that. Well, when you're excavating everything, you're going to be taking just a little piece off, which is, we roughly estimate about 4 inches, and we call that a 4-inch grub. Okay. Next, I have my finished grade surface, but at the time when I was working on this particular plan and I was getting ready to get everything set up, the only thing that I had was the layout of the site, such as more or less the line work, just the lot lines and where the ponds were going to be, all that good stuff. And if I look under definition, where am I at here? We've got break lines. Okay. I had a feature line created for my outer boundary right here. Okay. Then I had a feature line for my wetlands. And then I had feature lines set up for my ponds. And then we've got a little bit of floodplain compensation that's happening right over here. We won't dive too much into that within this particular session, but essentially, these are all feature lines that I set up, okay? If I go into my model view and I select the outer edge of, say, pond 600, you can see that we have elevations set up within our properties panel. Okay, so this is set up at, the only numbers that I had at the time were top of bank elevations and bottom elevations. Okay, so I essentially just set up feature lines set up at those elevations for all of these ponds. And you can see that we've got a good amount of ponds here. We've got pond 100, we've got 200 over here. Actually, let me turn off my volume surface. I'm going to set that to hidden. Apply that. And you can see the site just a little bit better. Okay. This is essentially what I had when I first started my earthwork exhibit. Okay. And like I said, I set up all of these feature lines and I added all of these feature lines to my finished grade surface. Okay. So once I get to this point, like I said, I started this plan probably about 4 months ago. That was as far as I could take it because we didn't have a grading plan. In other words, we didn't have grades set up for our center line of road. We didn't have anything for our right-of-ways, our lots. Nothing was graded out yet because it was still more or less kind of in a conceptual stage. However, just recently, probably within the last few weeks, a grading plan was established. And I'll bring that in right now as an XREF. I'll reload this grading plan, and you can see that we have all kinds of grades established. Now these grades, they are not tied to a specific surface. Okay, these grades were set up by a different group, which I wasn't involved with at the time. What they did was they basically created grade boxes, just straight up text, and they set up a grading plan. Okay. But what could have also happened too is this grading plan, oh, let me see here. Yeah, look at the date. Yeah. This is not tied to feature lines or a proposed surface or a finished surface. If I look at what they gave me, actually let me, okay. This was essentially their product that they gave me. Like I said, it was a different group. Many times within an engineering firm, you have different groups working on different projects, and sometimes projects get shifted around to different groups so that, you know, if I come to a stopping point within this earthwork exhibit and I don't have, say, a grading plan at the time, I typically move on to a different project and I start working on that project. Well, another group became free and they were able to work on a grading plan, and they took it to this point. This is their earthwork. And if we look, they have a finished grade surface. And if we look at their definition and look at their break lines, see how they labeled everything very, very nicely? They labeled everything very, very nicely. Okay? Rather than just having break lines just randomly labeled like break line 1, break line 2, so on and so forth, they actually took the time to put in descriptions for their break lines, which is very nice. Okay? Now, the next step is we want to be able to format this earthwork into basically an earthwork exhibit. Now, typically with our group, we have a certain standard that we like to adhere by when it comes to creating an exhibit for earthworks. And we don't necessarily have that within their particular earthwork plan. I'd like to be able to continue with where I left off with my earthwork exhibit, because right now, if I go into the layout, I have everything situated on a title block that I would like to use, okay? And I have a bunch of styles that are associated with my volume surfaces and so on and so forth. So what I would like to do, if you ever run into a situation to where you need to be able to copy feature lines from one drawing to another, this is more or less the workflow that I go through in order to establish that. So for example, if I want to go to their earthwork and I'd like to go into their cut fill surface, I want to make this hidden. Hit apply. And if I zoom into their stuff, I'd like to be able to quality control their feature lines. And what I mean by that is I'd like to be able to see, okay, they have a feature line here, but I want to make sure that it matches the grades that we've established from our grading plan. So it's just kind of like another set of eyes, which is going to be me. I'm going to go through and make sure that all the grades match what we have on our feature lines. Since I'm more or less inheriting the earthwork exhibit now, the responsibility is now on me to be able to make sure that my earthwork quantities are correct. Okay, so when I have someone else's feature lines, I'd like to be able to check it over just to make sure that they were doing everything right and everything matches. So we have their break lines, and what I'd like to do, I'd like to start off with this workflow, with this quality control workflow. I want to isolate just the center line. Now it looks like they put the center line, they put the right of way and the center line, they're on the same layer. But what I can do is I can Control Shift C for copy with the base point of 0, 0. I'm just going to come in here and select the road center lines. Okay, looks like that's all of them. Press enter, and now I'm going to go into my exhibit drawing, into model space. I'll zoom in here. Actually, tell you what I'll do is I'll unload the proposed base for the time being. And now I'll Control V for paste. Insertion point is going to be, again, 0, 0. And here are all of my road center lines. Okay. Now when we do this, I'd like to start checking my feature lines and compare that to my, again, I'm going to compare that to the grades that we have set. This is the latest and greatest grading plan. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to isolate my center lines, and I'm going to set all of these center lines to a specific color. Okay, and right now looks like these feature lines are set to a style of break line, and it's not inheriting the layer color that's established here. So I'm going to change this style to just standard. Okay, now we have that magenta color, but I'm going to set the true color to red, meaning that red essentially means that these lines have not been checked yet. Okay, so after that, if I look within my sites, I'll expand this, and you notice that we have a second site that's been set up here. Well, if I thaw all of my layers and I come in here and I begin to check everything, I select my feature line here and I come up here, I get my contextual menu for my feature line, and I select Quick Elevation Edit. If I hover over this, it's not allowing me to select that endpoint. Well, the problem is that these feature lines are within a separate site, okay? So what I need to do is I need to select this. Actually, I need to select all of these and move them, move them to my site, okay? If I select all of these, right click, and select Move to Site, we have a choice of a destination site. Currently, it's within Site 111, okay? The destination site, I want that to be within Site 1 to keep everything together. Because as you copy in feature lines from other drawings, it's going to create a brand new site each and every time, okay? But I'd like to keep all of my feature lines into one site. You can do it however which way you want, but I like to keep everything within one site. Click OK. And now I can right click on that site. We're going to delete it. Uh-oh. Could not be deleted. Perhaps it has children. Okay. Do we have any more feature lines here? No, there's nothing here. What if I right click and refresh? And now try. Huh. That's odd. Well, anyways, on a perfect day, you should be able to delete that, okay? All right, so I'll thaw all of these layers once again. And now if I select my feature line, select my quick elevation edit, now we can see what that elevation is. And that's at, okay, 4465, so we're good there. Everything matches, that's good. What about here, 4420, that matches. 4394, that matches. So you get the point. We're going to be going through all of these center lines one by one and making sure that our slopes look good, the grades look good, they match. And this is just a quality control check just to make sure that somebody didn't do something on accident. You know, there are many times to where you're typing in numbers and there could be an error somewhere. So we're just checking each other's work. Okay, so for the most part, once I get finished going around this entire center line, what I'm going to do is just as a note for myself within my workflow, I like to change the color to green, just so I know that I've addressed all of those grades. Okay, you do the same thing for this center line. Let's take a look at that. Quick elevation editor. 4485, yep, we're good there. 4461, we're good there. 4486, okay, we'll go through all of this stuff and then we'll select this and we'll make it green. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm going to go into their earthwork drawing. I'm going to select all the right-of-ways. Shift Control C. Base point is going to be 0, 0. And then just select all the right-of-ways. And this is just a way for me to keep track of everything that I'm doing. Because sometimes when you're checking grades, you know, sometimes you can get lost a little bit if you don't have a certain workflow that's established. And this just kind of keeps everything on track. We'll press enter, then go back into our earthwork exhibit, and we'll do a paste. Control V, 0, 0. There we go. And essentially we'll do the same thing with this. Now, again, will I be able to select with a quick elevation editor, will I be able to select this? No, I won't. I need to move this again to site 1. So I will, actually I'll go a different route. I'll go to sites. You see, here's that brand new site that got copied in with our right-of-ways. Feature lines. And then what I'm going to do is shift click, and then right click, and then move to site. I'm going to move this over to site 1. Click OK. Now let's see if we can delete this. Delete. Come on. All right, it did it. Sweet. All right, how about this one? Let's try it again. Delete. Suddenly did it. Don't you just love Civil 3D? A lot of times with Civil 3D, it'll kind of play like mind games with you sometimes. Sometimes you'll think that, gosh, I remember when I did this last time, everything worked. But other times, sometimes what works really, really well is just closing down your drawing. If you believe that normally a command normally works a certain way, just shut down your Civil 3D, bring it back up. I know it's a pain in the butt, and then sometimes it'll work normally. But sometimes with Civil 3D, it can be a little bit of a nuisance at times. Okay, so we'll select our feature line for our right-of-way, and again, we'll just come in here and check our grades. 4371, 4390, 4421, and so on and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and come in here and isolate all my stuff. I'm just going to say, okay, I checked everything, okay? All my right-of-ways I've checked. And I'll set that to, instead of break line, I'm going to set that to standard. And I think I might have created layers for each one of these components here. Z right away. There we go. I'm going to put it on that layer. And then for my center lines, everything's good here. Everything's green. Everything is A-OK. Okay, once you've checked everything, I'm going to change all of this. Oops. Come on. Change this. I'll put this on a different layer. I know that usually whenever I look at a grading plan and I see all these grades, it can look a bit overwhelming. But when you have just an established workflow as far as just focusing on my road center lines for right now, just check all that stuff. Okay, we can put that off to the side. We can go ahead and freeze it and then concentrate on right-of-ways. Okay, once all those grades are checked, we're good. I think when I did a check of all of these grades, I think it probably took me about an hour. Let's go back down here. We'll come into, these are all my center lines, right? Z center line, that looks good. Restore all my layers here. My right away, Z right away. Isolate this. I'm gonna make all that stuff green. I'm gonna select this, right click, hit select similar, and it selects all that good stuff. We'll change that to green. Restore all these layers. Next, we'll go into their earthwork drawing. We'll restore these layers. And for earthwork purposes, see what they did was they actually created feature lines for all of their pads. But for this particular earthwork exhibit, we only really need the tracks for right now. We're not too incredibly concerned about the pads for right now, because sometimes going through all of these pads and checking to make sure all of those elevations are correct, that can be a bit tedious. I mean, you can see how many pads we've got going on here. But for our But for the purposes of this earthwork exhibit, we can just concentrate on the tracks. And it looks like the tracks that they have established here, that's a feature line. I can isolate these, and I have all of my lot tracks. Because as it stands right now, if I don't establish all of these feature lines and I just create a earthwork volume calculation just based upon just my initial ponds and wetlands and whatnot, it's not going to be an accurate calculation. But as I add all of this good stuff into my finished grade surface, then after a while you get something that's a little bit more on track with what you're looking to provide the client with. How's it going, Joel? It's good to see you, sir. Thanks for signing on with us on a Saturday afternoon. If you're with me right now and you're not watching football right now, good on you. You're looking to progress. You're looking to grow within your career and hopefully within Civil 3D. I'm glad you took the time out to join us. I've got football on in the background. I've got Indiana versus, was it Nebraska? Yeah. So, all right, we'll continue here. Control-Shift-C, 0, 0. I'm going to copy this from their plan. Actually, you know what? Can I just, instead of going through one by one, can I just select this? Oops. Select this. Right click. Select similar. And now hit Control-Shift-C. Establish my base point of 0, 0. Let's see if that works. I'll go ahead and Control-V for paste at 0, 0. Aha! That saved a little bit of time, didn't it? I'll isolate my tracks. And now, like before, I'm going to select all of these. Right click, select similar. I won't do it for this. Select similar. Select similar. Nope, won't do it. Thanks, CAD. Good times. Okay, I guess we have to do it one by one. Select each one of these. Can be a little bit tedious. But we've got nothing but time right now, right? Especially for a Saturday. We don't have a deadline on this. We can just take our time and just enjoy what we're doing, right? Okay. I'm going to set the style again to standard. I'm going to change the layer. I'm going to put that on its own layer. Anytime I'm dealing with feature lines, I usually create layers with a Z in front of it. Okay? With a Z in front of it. Okay. I'm going to put it on Z pads. Good enough for me. And if I wanted to, I can come in here. Actually, I'm going to isolate this layer again for my pads, or for my tracks, excuse me. Can I select similar for that? Yeah, now it'll work. Good times. Okay. True color. Again, we go through our workflow. Everything's set to red. We'll restore all of this, and we'll just go through again. Check our elevations. That's good. 4371. Uh-oh. Again, it's on a different site. Let's go back in here and go into our sites. We have to move those feature lines into site 1. And here they all are. Control A to select all of them. Right click and then move to site. Move it to site 1. Click OK. And now we'll come in here. 43.71, that's good. 44.95, that's good. 43.67, that's good. And you guys get the point. We'll isolate this again. Select this. Select similar. And then set that to green. Okay. All right, so we've done all of this. Essentially, we've established all of the feature lines that they have within this drawing, okay? And we've checked everything. Everything looks good. All these feature lines are good to go. If I come in here and I isolate my center lines, I've got all my center lines here, and I go into my surface, I want to be able to add all of these feature lines into my finished grade surface. For my definition, we've got break lines here. Again, we'd like to be able to put a description for our center lines within our break lines. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll select this. Select all of these, or I could have done a select similar. Should have done that. Save some time. And what I'll do is I'll add to surface as a break line. We don't want to add this to the existing grade surface. We want to add this to our finished grade surface. Click OK. And now, this is where we put in our description. Very important. Center lines. That's good to go. And for mid-ordinate distance, I usually go with 0.1. Now the mid-ordinate distance, that kind of goes with triangulation along a curve. Okay, that's what that's all about. I usually keep it at about 0.1. Click OK. All right, if I refresh this, okay, that should be showing up here. Did I put it in the right? Rebuild. Break lines. Where's it at? Did I put it in the wrong surface? I think I did. Break lines. All the road. Don't you just love it when you screw up live on YouTube? Where's it at? Refresh. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to undo this then, and I'm going to try again. Okay, that's probably a good point. Select this again. Oops. Select this, right click, select similar. Got all of our good stuff. Add to surface as a break line. Finish grade. Okay. Center lines. 0.1. Try this again. Let's try it this way. Select similar. Let's try it this way. Right click, add, break line or center lines. Point 1. Oops, don't want that. Here, 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 here. Okay, let's see if it does it this way. Nothing. Refresh. Why is this not working? Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, maybe it's the mid-ordinate distance that I'm giving it. Select similar. Add to surface as break line. Yeah, they're all feature lines. FG. Center line. Click OK. Anything happen? Nothing. Well, you know what I might have to do? Restart Civil 3D. Okay, good times. How about let's choose the right of way. Maybe that'll work. If I isolate the right of way, select similar. Okay, they're all feature lines, so they should be able to make break lines out of them. Add to surfaces break lines. Finish grade. This is right away. Point 1. And OK. Nothing. It's not cooperating. Okay, let's try this. Let's go ahead and restore all of our stuff. And it's time to restart Civil 3D. And you guys get to see what happens many times within a designer's life when you're dealing with Civil 3D. Sometimes things just don't want to cooperate with you. I'll close all of this out. Okay, we'll shut this down. And we'll bring Civil 3D back up. So what's going on in the chat here? We can take a look at the chat real quick. We said hello to Joel. Coco, grading feature line for dams. It's so difficult in Civil 3D, especially if the slope should have bench and should grading to surface as well. I know some of that stuff, that's beyond my my knowledge, to be honest with you. Some of this stuff, it's just maybe at one point I'll be able to kind of dive into dams and things like that. I've never touched anything like that before. This drawing contains a large number of. Do you want to reset the scales list? I'll go ahead and say yes. Okay, let's try this again. Isolate center line. I want to make sure it's not like on a locked layer or something goofy like that. Maybe that's the reason. I can't see why that would matter. Non-XREF layers. Go down to our Z. Z. There we go. Center line. Okay. It's on a no plot layer. So that's good. All my Z layers are typically on no plot layers. Okay, we'll exit out of this. Select this. Right click, select similar. And let's cross our fingers. Hopefully this should work. Add to surfaces break lines. Finish grade. Center lines. Point 1. Come on, work. Nothing. Okay, what if the name is what's giving us trouble? Let's select this, right click, select similar, add to surfaces break lines, finish grade. Just call it CL. Let's see if that does anything. Nothing. Huh, this is weird, guys. And it has to happen live on YouTube. Good times. Okay, well, how about this? How about If I create another surface, I'll call it PG for proposed grade. Click OK. And now, can I add these break lines, the feature lines, select similar, add to surface, break line, PG, OK. Center line. Nothing here either. Huh. Goofiness. I swear, usually this stuff works. It's within site 1. I'm going to delete this. Why can't I add my feature lines to my surface? I can't even delete my surface. Yes, I want to delete this. Okay, let's try it a different way. We'll select it and hit delete. Select. Why does this have a lock next? Oh, it's on XREF. Delete. Okay. Well, normally this stuff works, and for whatever reason it doesn't today. Okay. What if one at a time? Add to surface. Grade. Center line. Did that work? There it is. Got one in. Huh. Normally, maybe there's like a special variable or something like that that won't allow me to add all of these all at once. So we have our center line here. Let's isolate this again. Boy, what a pain. Select similar. Add to surfaces break line. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Nothing. Well, there must be a Civil 3D variable that that hasn't been set within 2025, or at least my version of 2025. Normally, you should be able to add all this stuff in it at once. Okay, so just for the sake of argument, what we're going to do is we can't even get into the workflow that I typically do. We might have to establish that on a different stream. Yeah, since it's not cooperating with me, I don't want to waste your guys' time. Maybe we'll save that for maybe next Saturday so that I can troubleshoot all the bugs out of this stupid program. So sorry about that, guys. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So if you have any questions for me, for right now, I'm open to them. Yeah, this is essentially it. Essentially, what I wanted to show you guys is just kind of like just being able to bring in feature lines from someone else's drawing, and then you can more or less kind of just check and make sure that their grades match our current grading plan. So that's where we'll end it right now. We're roughly at about 45 minutes. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I appreciate your guys' time and just to sit down and learn a little bit more about Civil 3D rather than checking out football. However, I'm going to check out football right now. I appreciate you guys. Take care.